Buy on MTG. Construct your deck. Command your board. Conquer the table.
Hello out there in the wide world of web. This is Rob with Buy on MTG. Doing something a little bit different today. A couple different posts showed up on, there's a high-end MTG Facebook group, and some extremely high-end things showed up for sale. And then I started thinking about it because a majority of the people out there in the world, when you ask them if they know about Magic, they know about the Black Lotus. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's got to be the most expensive card. So today, I'm going to run down 10 items that are worth more than a Black Lotus. I'm going to say that with a caveat because there's a myriad of conditioning and things to take into consideration. So the first aspect we're going to look at is the Black Lotus. So if we look at this is on TCG Player. This was yesterday when I pulled it. And there is one for a $10,220. And of course, there's a huge amount of variables. Like I said, there is there's an artist proof version, and then you have grading and conditioning. I believe there was one that pristine 10 from CGC that graded out, and it supposedly sold for $3 million. So that would definitely be the most expensive single Magic sale that I am aware of. If I am wrong or misleading in any of this, please comment down below, because I don't know. If this is something that's interesting to everybody, then we can do a round 2 of this, because when I started compiling my list, I came up with more than 10, but I figured I'd leave it at 10. We're going to look at the first item that pretty much everybody is going to default to, the One Ring with Post Malone. The One Ring is definitely a unique situation in that it was a forced rarity item. Wizards went out of their way to have like a forced rarity or a forced desire for something. And granted, the story arc of Lord of the Rings and J.R.R. Tolkien is definitely something that already had an established fan base. So they just kind of coattailed that. But if any of you have ever played or not played, but if any of you have ever collected sports cards and sports memorabilia, you'll be aware that there is a myriad of forced rarity. Just for example, I collect a little bit of sports cards. So this is, where am I centered here? Tyler Lockett, rookie card, autographed, what is it, number 50 out of 99. So, and then I was fortunate enough to pull a Russell Wilson rookie. Am I there? It's a 1-of-1 Russell Wilson rookie. It's got a piece of his jersey in there. So there's the forced rarity has been a thing within sports cards and collectibles for a long time. So that's why when Wizards of the Coast started doing the serialized aspect, it wasn't a surprise to me. Even more so when they did the VIP boosters that were $100, and a lot of the local player base that I interacted with was like, I can't believe they're charging $100. I said, just wait, because sports cards has been doing $1,000 or $5,000 packs where you get 5 cards and they're all serialized, they're all autographed. The entire pack is just gas. But at that point, is it really rare if it's intentionally forced to be rare? So the One Ring is an example of that. It was an amazing pull and filled this dude's dream because he got to interact with Posty, and I think that'd be dope. I would have done the same, is what I'm getting at. Next thing I'm going to look at are misprints. Now, there are a myriad of misprints out there in the world, and the misprint aspect can be approached from a couple different ways. I'm going to my little folder. So yeah, there's a couple different things that you could look at as a misprint. This, for example, the Blue Hurricane from Summer or Edgar Magic is exceptionally rare, definitely well over the $10,000, $10,220 mark. But this was a misprint from the factory. So all of the Hurricanes from Summer Magic are blue. Now, with the cancellation and the shipping issue that they had with Summer Magic forced how much this card's actually worth. But then you have things like this is a commander deck that was double printed, and it ended up, I believe this entire pre-con sold for about $6,000. So not 10,000, but I'm just saying there are misprints out in the world that make a pretty good mark. This Hurricane is definitely the baller of the group. Next up, I'm going to look at, this is a puzzle. There was a thing called Inquest Magazine, and they worked in conjunction with Ultra Pro to try and sell these pages, and they put puzzles in the magazine. So when you look at the puzzles, you can find 8 of the 9 pieces pretty consistently. And if you look at it, there was, I think, a total of 3 of the 9 of 9. So this bottom right-hand corner here, only 3 of those were ever made for the Black Lotus. And if you found it, you could mail it in for $250. Well, that would definitely be a foolish thing to do, because you could see just the almost complete set sells for well over that. The 8 pieces sells for $750. And the funny part is that single 9 of 9 piece, just this one guy, is it's a 1 of 3. So taking that into consideration from a collectability perspective, I would be surprised if that was anywhere under the $20,000 mark. But I don't know. That's the fun thing about collectibles, is you can't comfortably say how much something is worth, because if there's no sales history of it, it's very, very hard to try and put that together. But both of these would be well over the $10,220 mark. Looking at the next thing, we have Richard Garfield. If you are unaware, Richard Garfield is the creator of Magic the Gathering, and there have been 4 instances of cards he had made for specific events. So the first one that's up here is Phoenix Heart. What is it? Coney and Richard continue the game and play all games forever, or as partners forever. It was a special event. I believe this one was a vow renewal or something like that. And these were used as invitations. So they mailed those out. There were 2 of them that were child announcements. Splendid Genesis, to announce the birth of the first child. And then, Fraternal, what does it say? Exaltation. It was the second child announcement. And of course, the rarest of the rare would be Proposal. It was illustrated by Quentin Hoover, one of my favorite Magic artists. And I guess there is only a single-digit amount of these that exist. The only possibility of even finding one is if people pass away or liquidate. But apparently Quentin Hoover himself, prior to him passing away, when he finished this project, was given one. And apparently that one was stolen. So there is one out in the wild, but it was stolen. But these 4 are pretty amazing, and all of them are in the wheelhouse. This Phoenix Heart is probably the cheapest of the 4, but all really cool cards. We're going to look at Pokemon test prints. So if you are unaware that Wizards of the Coast didn't make Pokemon as an IP, but they did take Pokemon and make it into a card game. The test print system, sorry, my dog is banging around because he's got a cone on his head because he got fixed yesterday. Poor buddy. But anyways, they did these test prints. So they are Pokefront and Magic back. So we have the Blastoise, and then we have this Growlithe here. They're super cool cards and pretty rare, definitely over the $10,220 mark, but just a really cool card that it speaks back to the history of not just planning things, but getting the process and the ball rolling for not just Magic, but card games in the future. Speaking of test prints, we're going to go to this. I'm probably going to say it wrong. Swarovski, I don't know. Swarovski crystals. did a test print system with it's supposed to be the Power 9. It doesn't, photo-wise, doesn't involve the entirety of the Power 9 because it's, of course, missing the big three, the blue ones, Time Walk, Twister, and Ancestral Recall. But I'm going to show some pictures here of the Swarovski crystals. And somebody is selling, it's a cumulative group that put this together, and they're selling them currently for, I believe it says $500,000. So that's their asking price. There is sales history of this, but even the previous sale, which was a while ago, was well over the $10,220 mark. So that's why I'm bringing these ones up. And this was actually the inspiration to start this video. Seeing these for sale kind of got the ball rolling. Mental gymnastics where you're like, oh yeah, I remember this or this, and wanted to show off some stuff that is over the Black Lotus mark. Not the best Black Lotus, but just a Black Lotus. I mentioned this earlier with the Blue Hurricane, but when we look at Summer Magic, the history behind Summer Magic was they attempted to fix revise by correcting the color, because if you put this plateau next to a revised plateau, you'll notice how washed out and crummy that one looks. There were issues with the Serendipity, and that was corrected in Summer Magic with this Serendipity, but there were additional issues with it, and it got canceled. This one's referred to as Edgar. Now, I believe it was referred to as Edgar as the person who was the project manager for it was Edgar, but the program or this ship got canceled, and all of it was supposed to be retracted and destroyed, but some of it did get shipped out, and some of it made it into the wild. This crazy pack looks just like a revised pack, but it's got an E written on it. I read that this was one of the packs that Troll and Toad received when the stuff shipped out, and the store itself, one of the people at the store was like, well, I can't really tell the difference between this and a standard revised. So they just wrote an E on it to indicate to the seller, hey, this one's Edgar. So yeah, it's just a really cool set that Serendipity is worth a ton. All of them are worth a lot. Like even basic land from Summer Magic can fetch a pretty good amount. But yeah, this is just this, and that Blue Hurricane definitely breached the $10,220 mark. Test prints in general. So there are a fair amount of test prints that are out banging around in the world. The ones that I had mentioned earlier with the Pokemon, I put them as their own category. But if you look at like City of Traders, this is a different foiling process. It was pretty big in the 90s, and they referred to them as prism foils, but not just the myriad of different methods that they were testing, but different border styles and play test cards. This play test, I'm just going to show this as a quick example, because that is something that would definitely be in the next video as something well over the mark, but it just happened to be in this screenshot that I took from one of the test print photographs. But there is a gentleman out there that makes YouTube content and is more or less just like a historian of magic, Tavis King. He has a handful of videos out there that break down, like on this City of Traders, you'll see that there's a +1 over here. So they would do entire sheets and have subtle variations under each sheet. So that way they could see how that foil looks under each border style, under each color and multicolor. So for multicolor, when they were doing this, they used Exodus. Exodus didn't have any multicolor cards in it. So they used, what is this, a Pygmy Hippo from Visions, just to see how the foil looked underneath on the Pygmy Hippo. Just a ton of really cool information about the test prints. But man, that City of Traders is well over the $10,220 mark. Uncut sheets is another magic rarity or oddity that just the some of these are to the point of priceless. So if you look at how many beta uncut sheets exist or how many Arabian Night uncut sheets exist, the sheets are broke down, and it's really neat from a collecting perspective because you can there is a mapping system that is broke down really well by Open Boosters. He kind of explains the mapping. Tavis King, Magic Historian, he breaks down the mapping really well. But if you pull a card, like hypothetically on this, if I pull this Bad Moon here, the adjacent packs can fall within these four. It's a really weird system. I'm not going to pretend that I am 100% sure on how it works, but it also kind of gives you a snapshot when you're looking at, here's a rare sheet, here's an uncommon sheet, here's the common sheet. And it really points out and lets you know, oh, that's kind of how many times that presents. So when you watch the videos that I made regarding the sets as a whole, and I talk about the rarity, and I say it's a U2, that means that card appears twice on the uncommon sheet. Just a neat little kind of connecting thing so you understand when I say something, how it correlates to other portions of my content and the printing runs in general. The last ones that I'm going to talk about are the pristines. So when you look at Beckett grading, you could say, oh, this is an 8 or an 8.5, and you could even have a 10. A 10, yes, is worth substantially more. But when you look at a 10 pristine, or what's referred to in the collecting side as a black label, the centering's 10, edges are 10, corners are 10, surfaces are 10. It is essentially perfect. Now, I didn't go into Beckett's breakdown to check personally how many pristine 10s there are, especially when you're looking at like from alpha or beta. But man, just the sheer value, or even an unlimited, like this unlimited sapphire, that's a black label pristine 10. Goodness, that mock sapphire is worth substantially more than $10,220. I would venture to say, like I said, I didn't check Beckett's inventory because you can look at final gradings, but there's probably only one of these in existence. And yeah, just crazy value out there, and not just the Black Lotus like everybody assumes. Going back to my final thoughts on this, it's really cool when you look at Magic from a collector perspective and the history perspective of it, and just all the different neat oddities and rarities that are out there that people love to collect. If this is something that everybody enjoyed, or if I missed something, like I am well aware, I didn't talk about the 1996 World Championship card. That's something that could be brought up. I didn't talk about the Heroes of the Realm cards. That's something that could be brought up. Or even, like I had alluded to earlier, not the test prints, but the play test cards. Those are huge amounts of value. So definitely let me know in the comments if there is just a super rare or an oddity or something that I missed that is worth more than whatever the Black Lotus is of that day. So if I do this video again and Black Lotus drops a little bit, or there's only a $9,500 version, then that'll be my mark when I make that video. If it goes up a little bit, well, then the bar got a little higher. But overall, thought it was a neat little informative sharing thing, and I hope you all enjoyed the video. Also, I hope you're having a great day. Oh, and don't forget to vote. I'm Rob. This is Buy on MTG. Good luck and have fun.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below.